Interlude 8. The Great Schism. A few hundred blue tunics, hugging the yellow rolling plains and hills, marched west of Viborg and could be spotted half a mile away. The men marched in the daytime, with the winter climate letting up as it softly rained across the terrain. Like a hot pan that steams when splashed with cold water, so too did the soldiers feel the sensation of the cool rain against their faces as they carried their weaponry and supplies across the land. Realizing he needed as many soldiers as he could muster, and that to kill any more traitors would only threaten the unit as a whole, King Gorm spared and pardoned anyone else accused of conspiring against him. The small army's morale, however, was intensely low, and King Gorm sensed it amongst the low expressions of his warriors. Realizing this, he stopped between two hills just before Haderup to rally the troops. "Men, you have come this far, and for what? I'll tell you why you have not come this far. You have not come this far in the end to fight for me or your tribe or your families or the gods." All of a sudden, the voice of the sage's prophecy from 27 years ago began ringing in King Gorm's head. "I see territories of warring powers, whispering lies and truth." King Gorm did everything in his mind to push back on this interjecting inner voice, screaming in his mind, and proceeded to continue speaking and rallying his men. "Why do you think King Emil threatened our people and our lands and conspired to overthrow our peace and livelihood? Because he, like his own people, fears us. Because we are powerful." Again the voice came back screaming in his ear. "I see a people lost in their futile minds, begging for a thirst to be quenched with no resolve in sight." This can't be happening, King Gorm thought, as he saved face and continued speaking. "Because we are a real force to be reckoned with. Remember this when you look in the eyes of the men whom you face on the battlefield. Look for the fear in their eyes and be prepared to exploit that fear. I see a sadist hope predicated on a man who embodies sadism. I see a generation raised in the lies of false security and false superiority." Almost in a sick fit of rage, King Gorm pushed the ringing sage's words out of his mind and continued. "You have come to fight for yourselves, for glory and honor and exaltation in Valhalla, the place where only the great are permitted entrance." But again, it came back with more intensity. "I see power exercised as an illusory force for good and upheld by a foundation of broken promises. I see pride in the wicked hearts of men, emboldened by the status that comes from victorious struggle." Ignoring it as best as he could, King Gorm continued, almost screaming, "Today we fight for—" And before King Gorm could finish, a mass group of arrows, like a school of hungry piranhas who smelled flesh, came raining down on his men, who, at first inspired by Gorm's speech, were now holding up their shields to avoid getting punctured. King Gorm immediately turned around and saw a group of yellow tunics behind a group of black ones on top of a hill to his north. There was a pause, a raising of what looked like hundreds of little brown crescent moons, and then another wave of approaching sticks moving in unison towards their direction. "Fall back, head south uphill," King Gorm yelled, as his suspicions of King Ulf's true intentions were confirmed. Quickly, his troops began running south up the other hill they were sandwiched between. Suddenly, to King Gorm's great surprise and relief, he caught a glimpse of a red group of tunics marching over the top of the south hill. "King Frode is here," King Gorm exclaimed under his breath. "The Traust tribe has come in time." "We are under attack. We must prepare for battle," King Gorm shouted to his allies as his troops began running up the south hill. But before King Gorm could say anything else, Those little half-crescent moons he saw in the distance on the north hill were now pointed in his direction, only this time from the red tunics on the south hill. Whistles could be heard swiftly passing King Gorm's left and right ears as he slowed his ascent up the south hill. A sharp sting hit his right side, another like a bite hit his left side. The last of the sage's prophecy rang in his ear as he fell to the ground. But now I see hope. I see beams of light bursting forth from thick and heavy clouds of darkness, penetrating individual souls and spirits.